It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Gustin.
Well, good morning, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. Get to Joe's today, fast-paced, white-knuckle racing right here in your backyard in Council Bluffs on 23rd Avenue. Right in the same area as the AMC 17 and Ruby Tuesdays, Quaker Steak and Lube, Casinos Exit. That whole area is just under construction, so your best bet is to Google Map it before you head out there, because you may get lost with all the different construction and the way things have changed there with the I-29 I-80 interchange. It's I don't know, maybe I'm just some hayseed from the sticks, but it's really kind of interesting to me to watch all that develop through there, because it went from being just that simple, although horribly laid out I-29 I-80 merger as you're heading east, and now it's just this big old, frankly, it kind of looks like a big city.
It's a big spider web is what it is.
Yeah, it is. A lot of tax dollars going to good use.
I think the casinos are paying for all of that.
Good for I'm happy for that too. They can pay for as much as they want to, and I am perfectly fine with that. Let's see, Dirk, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Oh, we're surviving it, waiting for the 4th of July hangover to go away. And I don't even drink, so
count them up, 10 fingers, 10 twos. You got them all?
Oh yeah, I didn't light a firework.
Hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July. I know I certainly did. Got to finally spend it with the family. The last couple of years I've been working at a racetrack over the holiday, so I haven't been able to enjoy it with the family, but good time with the family was had. So
4th of July party I go to, we just wake up and then we start eating, and we just quit eating when we go to bed. So I've kind of got this carb coma thing going on today.
That sounds like a party I want to be a part of. I will be a part of that. On the show today, we finally sat down with Ryan Gustin. And,
Ryan who?
Yeah. And I need to offer a little bit of an apology. People did tell me that Ryan would be a little difficult to get a hold of. I got a little frustrated during last weekend show, and getting a hold of him meant zero communication, and conversations with his car owner were very enlightening as to Ryan's personality, but still frustrated that Ryan wasn't able to help us out. And after having a conversation with him, I did come to the realization that Ryan is not an arrogant, media-hating jerk, which I had come to believe after last weekend's show. Ryan is instead just one of those guys. He just wants to race. There's 100 of those guys in this sport, and I get that. But, working with the media, it's a part of growing in this sport. And your sponsors pay a lot of dollars. So come do interviews, take care of your sponsors, that kind of stuff. So I apologize. I talked to Ryan. We had a great conversation. We'll talk to him in turn number 2 about his chances for the Silver Dollar Nationals, a little bit about his career. We got a quick interview with him, so we'll talk to him in turn number 2. Turn 3, Rodney Sanders was supposed to join us. Wasn't able to get a hold of him, so I'm going to keep trying. We're going to try to have him for next week's show, but quite frankly, we are incredibly packed over the next couple of weeks for shows. And then in turn number 4, we will preview Daytona. We'll talk tips from Mr. Fantasy. We'll talk about the pickups contest, and we'll also recap Sonoma in turn number 1. So we got a big show lined up for you today. Even though we don't have Rodney Sanders like we had been talking about, we will have a big show lined up for you, and a very enlightening show, I do hope.
Rodney must be mad because I didn't wear his shirt today.
We'll talk to, it's who knows what it is. But, these guys, I do feel bad for them because they're on the road so much. And it really is difficult to sit down and take a little bit of time to have a conversation with these, to do interviews with these guys. And as many people that have interview shows today, they probably get requests up the wazoo. So, I'm not going to hold it against Rodney yet.
Rodney owns I-80 Speedway, so he needs to call us.
Yeah, because I'm gonna get some tips out of him on how to get around that track a little bit better.
Yeah, like you're ever going to be on.
Well, my plan was to get it for the other drivers so we have a little bit better of a show, but we'll see. I mean, he's on a tear this year, too, so we will keep efforting getting Rodney on the show. Don't worry about that. A couple of programming notes. Next weekend, July 12th, we will be live in the studio. We are going to be recapping the action from Kentucky. That is the next Saturday night race that's coming up after Daytona today. And then the following weekend, we'll be live again on the 19th, and that'll be recapping all the action from the Silver Dollar Nationals. We'll be in the pits on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, getting interviews and audio and that kind of stuff. So we'll talk to the winner of the race. We'll get audio from the top 5. We'll get some kind of insights. Maybe we'll get some stuff from fans. We'll see what happens. Both of those weekends, good news for sprint car lovers. We should... I'm going to say should because they have been promised to us, although they haven't shown up at the station yet. We should be getting tickets to the NSL race at I-80 Speedway July 30th and 31st, the new road to Knoxville, which is paying a grand total purse of $140,000 over the 2 days. So
get me some of that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big race. We're going to get you tickets to that. And speaking of the NSL, they made an announcement this week that they're going to be adding 360 engines as a series under their banner. Talked to Bill Wright earlier this week. I tried to get him on the show. He said, Dan, there's just not a lot of information available at this point. We're going to be releasing more information as the weeks go on, but we got him scheduled to come on the show the weekend before the NSL race at I-80, which, if I look at my calendar, that's going to be July 26th. We're also going to have Danny the Dude Lasowski on that day, and we're going to have Chris Krug, who is announcer at Knoxville Raceway, on that day, and Stan Caesar. So we got a lot of show coming up that day for you, and we'll talk to Bill that day also. I think we're going to have him come in the show and just kind of help co-host. It's going to be a whole Road to Knoxville preview show, and so we got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk to Bill about the 360s. I don't have a lot of information about that yet, but just hearing it kind of makes me nervous as far as what the Nebraska 360s is going to be able to do in 2016.
Well, what Nebraska 360s are going to do, and also what the ASCS is going to do.
The ASCS Midwest Series is gone. Remember, that was Chuck Zur, and I'm forgetting his last name. Chuck left.
Z.
Yeah, Chuck Z. That's the best way to put it. I can't pronounce his last name, so thank you for that. That's a much easier way of putting it. But Chuck left ASCS Midwest and went to help run the NSL. And that's who Bill Wright and Natalie Sathers, I believe is her name, that's running it all together. And so it's not, I guess it doesn't, I didn't realize it was coming, but now that I hear it's here and that they're talking about it, I'm like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
But I really do worry as far as what the Nebraska 360s is going to do. It's a viable series now, but that's because it's the only 360 series in the area that is paying points for Jack Dover, Stu Snyder, Brian Brown. You know, these guys that are wanting to take their 410 out and run a 360, they've got a touring series. If the NSL comes in, it starts running their series, and they're running it as successful as they're running the 410 series. I really do worry is how long the NE 360 is going to be able to stay around.
Well, it just depends on how big a purse they decide to put with it, because the promoters might not want to pay it.
Yep.
So
that is a very deciding factor. So that's all stuff they're going to be working on, and hopefully we'll be able to get for you in the next couple of weeks. All right, Sonoma Raceway. Boy, once again, the road courses did not let us down.
No, it was a pretty good race. There was kind of some strange stuff that happened, but a good race overall. I
was watching it and trying to decide what I thought was more interesting, the actual racing itself or trying to understand the bigger picture of who was trying to do the entire race on 2 stops and 3 stops and how that strategy was going to work out. Those road courses are fascinating to me, and I think we agree. I'm a bit of an odd fella, so maybe I'm unique in this sense, but it's really interesting that the beginning of that race is all about getting as far up the position pole as possible, and then once that first pit stop happens, that's when it turns to strategy and turns to that first pit stop happens. Okay, now who's going to be going off of 2 stops? Well, they're going to come in, I think it was, 30?
Lap 30.
30. Okay, so it's about 30, 35 laps is your pit window. Actually, it's about 30 to 32, I think.
I was going to say, yeah, it's about 35.
Because that's a big gap, 30 to 35. But anyways, then those people who are trying to make it on 2 stops, they got to go to, I believe, 38 or 39 laps in order to make it on 2 stops. So it's a big gap there. And then when does the caution fall? Because the way it ended up falling, had Casey Mears not lost his rear axle, the tire and all, I think we'd be talking about Jimmy Johnson and his 5th win on the season. Instead, we're talking about a different winner.
Yep.
And so I love those races. And then that also brings up the inevitable question, should a road course be included in the chase? And, I'm 100% for it. If you have action at Richmond and Bristol and Martinsville like you do in the chase, it's going to be 2 or 3-fold that at places, if it was to be Sonoma, that turn 11, there's going to be so many guys that are going to get dumped there. That's going to be the spot that a chase is made, a championship is made or broken. Easily, because I think it's turn 9 and 11 are the two best positions on that track to pass. And it's honestly, turn 11 is the easiest place to dump somebody.
But the road courses aren't traditional NASCAR courses. That's what's in the chase.
Yeah. Well, and I love this about NASCAR fans. We're all about tradition. But if we did things the way we always did them, we'd be way behind in sports. You got to change with things. And people love road courses, and it's not just the ringers like Boris said and
what used to be
Aussie. What's his name?
Who, the Tasmanian Devil?
Yeah.
Marcus Ambrose.
There we go. Ambrose, that's the ringers. Now, your regular Cup drivers are getting really good at them.
Well, I mean, Jeff Gordon's won Sonoma 5 times, so he's obviously pretty good at it.
Jimmy Johnson. Brad Keselowski's terrible at Sonoma, but he's great at Watkins Glen. Yep. Kyle Busch, obviously. Kurt Busch is good there. A.J. Allmendinger's good at road courses. So I don't think it would be a big unfair advantage if that was in the chase. Now, the politics of the sport tell me that's not going to happen, at least not in our near future, because they have the schedule pretty well locked down. And NASCAR's lost a little bit of power as far as saying who's in the chase and who isn't. Now, inevitably, it's NASCAR's sport, and they're going to say, if we want this track in the chase, they're going to have to find a way. But you got guys like Bruton Smith that own several tracks, and ISC who owns several tracks, that they have some power when it comes to NASCAR saying that we want to change the schedule up.
Now, just keep remembering, ISC is NASCAR. I mean, it doesn't say NASCAR on the label, but that's a division of NASCAR.
Your top 10 from Sonoma, Sam Hornish Jr. in the number 9 car comes home in 10th. Ryan Newman 9th. Casey Kane 8th. Dale Jr. gets home in 7th. Jimmy Johnson falls from winning the race to 6th. Joey Logano 5th. Kevin Harvick 4th. Clint Boyer, who had a very good car, very strong, and I kind of wish that race would have kept going for probably another, 5-10 laps, because that battle between Kurt, Clint, and Kyle was pretty darn good battle.
Clint never would have got there. Clint was about, if it would have gone 2 more laps, Harvick would have passed Clint.
You think so? So then Kurt Busch comes home in 2nd, and Kyle Busch gets your win. I'm surprised he won this early, honestly.
Well, I'm not really surprised that he won. It sounded like his leg and everything and his foot both held up pretty good, so that's a good sign. He thought he was going to be sore, and he said after the race. So.
Yep. He said he was sore, but not as sore as after, I think, Friday after practice. He said he was pretty sore.
Yeah, and that's because he was probably doing a lot more with the practice because the car probably wasn't quite right, et cetera, et cetera. And the adrenaline wasn't flowing with the race.
Yeah, and the way they hop up on them curbs, man, it's jostling for a regular driver, yet somebody who's got a broken foot and a broken leg. So that was a heck of a race for him. He got the win, so he is one of 2 hurdles over getting into the chase. Now he's got to do the incredibly difficult thing, and that is he has to finish, I believe, an average of 11 places better than 30th place Cole Witt.
He has to finish in the top 13. He's got to average that.
And that's if he doesn't get another win, which a couple of weeks ago when we talked about our picks for the rest of the chase, the rest of the season, I have him winning 3 races. So even though I got the race wrong, he's got to win, so he's got that going for him. But he may still not make the chase. I was sitting there listening to the post-race, and I thought, boy, I really wish we could get an interview with him, because I'd love to talk to him about a strategy for the rest of the year. Charlotte really put him in a bind. He can't. I almost feel like he can't drive the normal Kyle Busch, which is rowdy way. He
doesn't know any other way.
Right. He's got to back off and accept a top 10 finish, though.
Oh, he will if it's the last lap. He always has. Every driver does. But if he's out there at the start of the race, he's going to be going for the front. He's going to try and qualify good, and he's going to try and win races. Because NASCAR, if you think about it, if he wins a race and scores 48 points, he can get a DNF.
Well, he's got 2 already.
Well, he could get another one, If you win races, that eases up the backside a little bit. Mm-hmm. I should say he'd need to win 2 races to have one more DNF.
Yeah. But he's still got a long road to haul. We've only got 11 races left.
I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I mean, if I had the chance to bet on it, I'd say he's going to make it.
You'd put money down he's going to make it.
Yep.
All right. I just think it's going to be tough. I don't think you disagree with that. That's going to be tough to do. But 30th place is Cole Witt, who's sometimes didn't even qualify for the races. So
now his strategy this weekend will be interesting with Daytona.
Very much so. Very much so. Coming back to and that'll be the story all this weekend is coming back to the track that he broke his leg at, blah, blah, blah. And it's a tough track to avoid the wrecking. Do you pull the Jimmy Johnson theory where you sit way in the back and
depends where he qualifies. If he qualifies up front, he's going to run up front. If he qualifies middle to the back, he'll probably go to the back and just ride around.
Your Silver Dollar Nationals Pick'ems contest wrapped up with Sonoma, and congratulations to Crystal Gaunt, who won the overall the prize contest. She got herself a pair of tickets to Friday's Silver Dollar Nationals and a pair of tickets to Saturday's Silver Dollar Nationals action. She beats out David Adams, Dale Smith, Chris LaFoy, and Monty Oman for the top spot, and Crystal came in 2 points behind. I believe it was Dale Smith, and Dale took, I believe Dale took A.J. Allmendinger, or else, no, he took Kurt Busch, excuse me. So I got that wrong. But either way, Crystal wins the points contest. She actually beat her boyfriend Chet, or her husband Chet, by a pretty good margin, 61 points. I always love seeing that when the siblings get together. And, like Monty Oman and Melissa Oman, those two, that couple, that they're going at it pretty heavily. And they send in their picks separate. You could tell that there's a little bit of competitiveness between the two. I get the kick out of that. For the contests, we take a break for a couple of weeks, and then we will come back with the Midwest Fall Brawl ticket contest, which we will launch. Let's see. We will come back. That series will kick off at Indianapolis for the Indianapolis 500, or the Brickyard 400. So that's when that race will kick off. We'll talk to you more about that. The Midwest Fall Brawl, we'll get details on exactly what you're going to win. That's our next 5-week contest. And then we go for, after that contest, we take it to Kansas Speedway for that giveaway, which we've been promised those tickets, so those should be on their way. And then we wrap it all up with the Quaker Steak and Lou $100 gift card and best seat in the house contest for the Homestead Party. So we talk about we're halfway through the season. We're almost done, man. Almost done and almost ready to...
Just cruising.
I know. Just getting through the season. So that's the way that rolls out for the next couple of weeks as far as the Pick'ems contest is concerned. If you're listening and you want to get involved, the Pick'ems contest is absolutely free to join. It costs you nothing. All you have to do is just send me an email, frontstretch590@gmail.com, and we will get you signed up for free to win all of those prizes. And let me tell you, we're getting some awesome prizes in the house as far as the 5-week contest is concerned and the overall Pick'ems contest is concerned. We're getting a lot more really cool prizes. We're working on some autographs from Ryan Gustin and Scott Bloomquist. We've got some autographs from who was the latest one I just got stuff from? AJ Almond, or Justin Allgaier. I'll have to go back through and look
David
at my prize
Starr,
book.
Brendan Gaughan.
Yep.
Cale Conley.
I think the coolest one, though, and the one that's going to be going the fastest, is the sheet metal from Kyle Larson's Sonoma car in 2014. I think that'll be a really high bid, highly desired contest prize. So all that stuff completely free. You could join the French Stretch Pick'ems contest by just sending an email, frontstretch590@gmail.com. All right, coming up in turn number 2, we're going to talk with Ryan Gustin about the Silver Dollar Nationals, that race coming up, his season, his career, and all kinds of fun stuff. Then in turn number 3, we're going to preview the Silver Dollar Nationals, kind of Dirk and I going back and forth about what we're expecting from that race. And then in turn number 4, we will preview Daytona as the race kicks off tonight, I believe at 7 o'clock. 6:45 is when the Coke Zero kicks off, and it's on a new broadcast partner.
NBC.
Bum, bum, bum. Thank God. All right, anyways, that's just my opinion. We'll be back here on the Front Stretch. Thanks for hanging with us.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
This is Andrew from Kosiski Auto Parts. Kosiski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kosiski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kosiski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kosiski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 2, brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts, online at Kosiski.com and at 731-4592. Affordable parts that you can get your car back on the road with quality parts and a full warranty with your arms and legs still attached. Give any one of the experienced salespeople a call today at Kosiski Auto Parts. I actually went through their salvage service the other day. Had Steve come over to my house and pick up a car that had been sitting in my driveway. It broke down. A friend of mine it broke down in my driveway, and it was just time for the car to go. So I gave Steve a call, and he came and picked it up, called me back the next couple of days, said, "This is how much I'll give you for it." And I said, "Okay." And I've got a check in my pocket now from that. So a lot of different things going on over at Kosiski Auto Parts. And the easiest way to understand it is they take salvaged cars, and when a car's involved in a rear-end accident and the car's totaled out, well, they buy it. And then the alternator or the radiator or the water pump or
whatever's usable,
the thousands of things that are in the front of that car that's perfectly usable. It could have been one of the seats, a seat belt, a steering wheel. It just sits on their lot and just waits for a new home. And you could be that new home. Instead of going down to one of the auto parts dealerships and picking up a brand new part that, it'll work fine, you could go and get it for a lot cheaper over at Kosiski Auto Parts. Just give them a call today.
I put an air conditioning compressor from them last year on my car. So
great. 731-4592, that's the digits to call. You can also get them online, Kosiski.com. All right, so I talked about we met up with Ryan Gustin. I got to meet up with him. I apologize, buddy. I didn't know if you'd made it out to the race or not. I hadn't heard from you, and listen, I think I was about as close to the stalker as I've ever gotten. Because he was, it's after the race, he's tired, and they ran that MLRA CBC feature before the 360, so he had time to load his car and kind of get set up, and I sat outside of his hauler for 25 minutes and waited for him to get out of the shower. Stalker-esque. Yes, very stalker-esque.
Man crushes and stalking.
We got to sit down with Ryan. I keep saying we. I got to sit down with Ryan, and the first question I asked him was kind of the question I like to start off with now. It's one that's on my mind for a lot of these guys. Was there any other destiny for you other than racing?
I guess just destiny, third-generation racer from...
If not racing, what do you think you'd be doing? Maybe working at a car wash, maybe a professional ballerina. You think you'd be making donuts? What do you think?
Maybe flipping burgers.
Hey, they're about to get paid $15 an hour if this stuff goes through. That may be a good career path change for you. We haven't had too bad of a year. I think last time I checked, you've had 9 wins on the season. Doing some pretty good with top 10s, top 5s.
Yeah, we've been pretty consistent, but we haven't been really knocking down the wins that we was like, it's just tough out here. It really is. These guys they get faster every year. And it seems like if you don't keep up, with everything that evolves and whatnot, you're going to be lap traffic.
And it seems to change so fast. Not just half season to half season. It could be race to race that somebody could finally find something and they're just blowing the field away.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just like Jesse Stoffel, he's been absolutely dominant here lately. Just he found something, figured something out, and he's doing a good job of keeping him under wraps. That's what you got to do in this deal.
You got married a couple of years ago to Kendra. Is there any kind of a difference between the single Reaper and the married Reaper? Are you kind of calming down a little bit, or are you still out there having fun?
No, I'm pretty much calmed down. We used to get pretty wild, but quite a bit. I got a little boy and I got a little girl on the way now. I'm married and just trying to make a living to support my family.
Turning into an old man, huh?
It feels like.
Is your son taking after you with a racing bug?
Oh yeah, he loves it. He's wild, that's for sure. He's hopefully here in another year or two will be in a go-kart.
Does he get to come out and see you race very often, or do they have to stay at home and kind of keep raising him at the house?
Mainly he goes and watches my little sister with my mom and dad there at home.
Yeah.
He's got to stay there close to home, but my wife, she works all the time there, so not really an opportunity to have them on the road with us.
And your little sister, I think did she get her IROC start this year? Did I hear that right? Or?
Yeah, she, man, I wish I had the season she had. It seems like every time she goes to the racetrack, she's either winning or top 3. So
wow.
She's had a heck of a year.
What's been your biggest influence on you in your racing career? Who has been your biggest influence?
Oh, man, I guess probably my grandpa and my dad more
yeah.
than anybody, and my mom also.
How so?
She just, I don't know, I guess my dad, he was always the one that told me to drive it in the corner wide open. Not the type of deal. My mom's, when she raced, she was always the opposite, smooth and really good on the slick track, so I guess kind of learned from both.
We're talking to you tonight to get you ready for the Silver Dollar Nationals coming up July 17th and 18th here at I-80 Speedway. 2014 came to a quick end for you. You were running 5th, blew a tire, hit the wall, too much damage to get back out there. Did you learn anything that night or anything you can kind of take with you as you've had? I mean, obviously 2013 was a great year for you. Heartbreaking end. Same thing with 2014. What's 2015 looking like?
It's not very good. No, we got some notes to look back on. I mean, like I said, we were strong last year. Just had unfortunate, got the right rear quarter panel up in the tire, cut the tire, got the fence pretty hard. Met some suspension components and wasn't able to make it back out. But if you run top 5 with them guys, that's pretty much the best of the best.
Yeah. And that notebook you were talking about, I'm always curious to how effective is that when there's been a whole year of racing on the track, there's been another year of weather. This year it's been much more moist than last year, so the notebook's still relevant just with some compensations with the weather and the track conditions?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Silver Dollar Nationals, ever since they got that deal going, the track conditions have been the same really about every year. The Gustin's doing an excellent job, especially with that race to get the track prepped.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, it's not from one extreme to the other. It's always pretty close.
Yeah. The 2013 Silver Dollar National, I hate to go negative on you here, and I'm sorry if I keep going there, but, it's always interesting to me because you've run so well, but you've had some bad luck. Is there a monkey on your back for that Silver Dollar Nationals?
I don't know about that, man. That was just, we were lucky enough to even be able to compete with them guys and run with them. As far as I'm concerned, there's no monkey there.
You've got a huge fan base out here at I-80 Speedway, and the crowd goes nuts for you whenever you're racing out here. Do you bring your own merch trailer and line it up out there? I mean, you've surely got to do pretty good here with the fans.
No, we don't have our own trailer. We got some T-shirts for sale. The ASI trailer, I think, will be here for that. Most of the bigger events. So.
You guys are all over the country, racing a couple of times a week. When you get to a racetrack, is there one thing that you see when you pull up to a racetrack that kind of puts you into a better mood? Is it a concrete parking spot? Is it a solid restrooms in the pits where you don't have to go sit in a porta potty or is there something like that kind of makes you think, this is going to be a good race?
Yeah, like you said, the concrete pit area is always nice. You got a nice slab to work on and everything. And the other thing is, you get to the racetrack, a lot of them, people have the racetrack destroyed. Some of them the gate. If not working the track and it's not a complete mud hole or not a dust pool, it's usually a pretty good night.
So outside of racing, what's your favorite thing to do?
I really don't do anything.
You'd be surprised how many times I get that answer.
Yeah, no, we
fishing, hunting.
I used to fish quite a bit, but man, as a kid, little boy and a little girl, now I don't
Yeah.
really have a whole lot of time to do anything.
Get him out there, catch some goldfish, and maybe a couple little.
Yeah, he's getting old enough now where
Yeah.
he can kind of get around and he's starting to learn and all that. So we'll have some fun times ahead of us.
How long until he becomes a Reaper crewman?
Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah.
Always used to help.
Ryan Gustin, driver of the 19R. You can catch him for the Silver Dollar Nationals. I've got a streak going. Whenever we do interviews with guys, they have really good finishes. So I think I'm going to give you the good luck charm this year. You're going to get that win.
I sure hope so.
All right. We'll talk to you after the race when you're in Victory Lane, all right?
That sounds good.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. So that was Ryan Gustin. Finally tracked him down and got an interview with him. And again, I said it in turn number 1. I do apologize. Turns out Ryan's just a good old boy. He just wants to show up to the track, set his car up, go out for the race. He doesn't want to mess around with all this other stuff. He just likes to sit back and have a beer. Now he's turning into a dad and a family guy. I think it's just an adjustment period for him. So very nice conversation with him.
Just wants to be invisible.
Yeah, I don't, I understand that. I get the luxury of being invisible from time to time, mostly to women, but
not near enough.
I'm kind of hard to see. I'm kind of hard to miss, aren't I? So that was in the pits for the Alphabet Soup last Friday at I-80 Speedway, and holy cow, what a good race. Dirk, you ended up making it out to the race, and you got to try Nebraska's best pork tenderloin sandwich. I am trained at that, by the way. That just rolls out of my mouth like the front stretch does nowadays. But got to enjoy one of those. Got to enjoy the races again finally, and the Nebraska 360 late model or Alaska 360 sprint car race where Jack Dover had the $1,000 bounty on him. First, I want to back up and go with the MLRA CBC Mars race where Kyle Burke essentially walked away with it, but the car that really got me was R.C. Whitwell in Al Humphrey's number 6 car. I thought he had a better car than Kyle Burke did before RC got involved in that accident with, I think it was probably about 10 laps into the race, and he was done for the night, and it was Kyle's race to win.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, with your tires and whatnot anymore, just depending on how you got them siped and everything, you can be real quick, and once the tires go away, you're toast. Kyle's tires stayed under him the whole race. He was car was very hot when he came across the scale after the race, and word has it that was a brand new motor. So I would be guaranteeing that the $3,000 he won wasn't going to cover the repair bill on that engine.
Yeah, he said that he started. He thinks maybe the air intake got clogged, and that he was starting to run hot. But he said in the post race interview he was hoping that everything would be fine. But you can wish in one hand and in the other hand and see which one fills up first.
Yeah, he's. I think there's going to be some repair work on that engine. I mean, I hope for his sake there's not, because a new power plant's probably in the $35,000 to $40,000 bracket. I don't know exactly where he gets his anymore. Used to get him from Wegner Automotive Research out of Wisconsin, but I know he's not with Wegner anymore.
And a new chassis too, as far as I understand. He's not running his missile chassis anymore.
Yeah, I don't know about that, so I can't comment there. A couple of the local guys, Corey Zeitner impressed me. Came home with a top 10. Came home with a top 10 at Corning the following night, too. That's pretty impressive for a younger driver, kind of starting to try some of these open shows. Hasn't been to too many of them. It'll be nice to see if he can make a showing here at the Silver Dollar Nationals coming up. Tony Jackson had a real good run. He's a regular, won the Consi won the last chance race at the Silver Dollars last year, and didn't have much luck when he foregoed the money and moved up. I don't know if it cost him a divorce or not, but the way he was sounding before he did it, it might have.
Yeah. Your top 10 at the MLRA CBC Mars feature event for the June Jamboree the Alphabet Soup on Friday, June 26th. Jake O'Neill out of Tucson, Arizona was 10th. Corey Zeitner was 9th. Brandon McCormick was 8th. Tony Jackson Jr. 7th. Jason Utler was 6th. Terry Phillips 5th. Tad Pospisil, who 4th isn't a bad finish, but I expected a little bit more out of Tad. But, 1,000 things could have gone the way of a 4th place finish. Not anything that you go and complain about, but the way he's ran there on a weekly basis, I expected, I think, a little bit more speed out of his car.
Jesse Stovall, who got by him towards the end, is kind of on a hot streak, and he won the night before up at PJ. So.
And Jesse finished 3rd. Chad Simpson came home in 2nd, and Kyle Burke was your race winner. Let's see. Your sprint car feature event, $1,000 extra on the line. A bounty was put on for Jack Dover, who has won the last 5 feature events in the Nebraska 360s. I think he said it was 5, but it very well could have been 6.
I thought it was 6.
Yeah, well, he's won a lot and consistently. So he threw an extra $1,000 on him. He ended up starting 11th and had to make his way around a lot of very, very good cars. When Stan Caesar was calling that race, he said, as good as Jack is, starting 11th with this field of cars, I don't think he's going to do it. But he caught him, and I thought he was going to do it for a lap or two there, but he just ran out of laps. And Jonathan Cornell out of Sedalia, Missouri was the one who got the win. Took home the $1,500 for the Nebraska 360 win and the extra $1,000 for the Jack Dover bonus money. Jack came up all the way to second. He had to have finished, what do you think, about a half a second behind him?
Yeah, a couple car lengths, but he really didn't get going until the second half of the race. I think the field had to kind of string out a little bit before he could really start rocking and rolling, and then he got on the line there for a while where he was picking off a car a lap, and I think he got into second place with about 5 laps to go, and was able to. He was reeling him in. If there'd have been a couple more laps, he might have been able to do it.
Luke Cochran in the pit said Jack just needed another half a lap. Jack felt like maybe he needed a lap or two. There was some lap traffic that was really giving them both some fits. But what a great race. That was absolutely fantastic. That was my first Bounty race I ever got to see, and it didn't let me down at all. Billy Alley comes home third. Tyler Drucke comes fourth. Cody Ledger fifth. Chris Martin sixth. John Agan seventh. Dakota Hendrickson eighth. Jake Martins was ninth. And Trevor Grossebacher rounds out your top 10. That's the way the Alphabet Soup race rolled out on June 26th at I-80 Speedway. We're going to take a break, come back at turn number 3. We'll talk June Jamboree, and then we'll preview the Silver Dollar Nationals. This is The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
3 here on the front stretch. If you happen to miss the conversation we were talking during the break, miss our interview with Scott Bloomquist, who, is it really that bad of a man crush I've got on him?
Oh, it's huge.
It's we all live in an equal country now. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but
I'm going to put a muzzle on you when we go down there to the Silver Dollars.
He's going to put a restraining order on me before you get the muzzle on. But if you happen to miss our conversation with Scott Bloomquist, you can head over to our Front Stretch Facebook page, and you can find the link there to listen to the YouTube video. You can go to youtube.com, search Front Stretch or Scott Bloomquist, and that will pull up. We'll have all of our interviews up there. A lot of great interviews over the last couple of months. So if you missed any of them, you can head over there. And the conversation with Scott last weekend, we had an off-the-record conversation with him. He went more in depth with the whole Eldora situation. So we're not going to talk about that, but I've got some sources. Scott says in that interview, said that according to Ohio state law, all scales, whether it's a scale at a fish market or a scale at a dirt track, has to be certified by a state official.
That's federal law.
That's federal law. Okay. So Scott is he's checking to see if there's anything he can pursue there. And a buddy of mine just texted me, said a source close to Eldora tells me that their scales were indeed certified. So that may be the end of the story, but if we all know Scott Bloomquist, and a lot of us do, that's not the end of the story.
Well, Scott said he was checking into it, and
yeah,
they couldn't give him any paperwork that says they were certified. So
you always kind of sit back, and honestly, Scott, on the surface, Scott kind of sounds like a sore loser in this case. But keep in mind, that's $100,000. You better damn well believe I would lawyer up if I lost out on $100,000 for something like that. I'm sorry to say, I hate lawyers in this world. I love Craig Kelly. He's the nicest guy in the world. I don't count him as a lawyer, even though he is. He's not the lawyer type, I guess is what I'm getting at. But I think I would lawyer up and I would say, I'm going to give you guys $30,000, $40,000 to get me my $100,000 back, because he won that race and being 25 pounds light. But there's a whole big old conversation that goes with this that maybe we'll have to have someday. But you said it yourself. If he was 25 pounds light and there was something wrong with the scales, everybody should be 25 pounds light.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way, because you can drive on the scale, and if you hit the brakes too hard and just jar that scale, it'll read funny.
That's what he said exactly, and that's probably where you got that from, was that...
No, I've seen it in action. I mean,
who was it that...
races,
Davenport, wasn't it?
Yeah.
John Davenport, that he said Davenport was mad he didn't win that race. Davenport scaled before Bloomquist did, and he watched Davenport pull up onto that scale and slam on the brakes. And he thinks that is what caused his car to read 25 pounds light. So I think this is far from done. But we're gonna talk to him coming up in a couple of weeks as the Silver Dollar Nationals gets closer and closer and closer. And I got to tell you that after the Alphabet Soup race and the June Jamboree, I still have a lot of admiration for what Steve Koziski can do for a track. Am I gushing on another guy? But he's an incredible track prep man.
He has learned the craft. He didn't know how to till just a couple of years ago, but he had a real good track Friday night for the Alphabet Soup race.
Mm-hmm. And a beautiful track on Sunday for the June Jamboree. And that's one of the more consistent things I hear from not only drivers like Kyle Burke and hobby stock drivers like Jason Cole or Dylan Smith, who's an A-Mod driver, but on up to guys like Rodney Sanders and Scott Bloomquist and Ryan Gustin, that when they show up at I-80, they know what track they're going to get. And that's got to be huge to know that that's not the wild card that I got to deal with today. It's not going to be the track conditions, because Steve and Joe and everybody at I-80 is going to take care of the track for me. I'm going to worry about these other things.
Yeah, it gets back to the weather. If there's some type of weather issue, whether it gets super hot and windy, which will dry the track out, whether it get a ton of rain Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, there's still a lot of variables to put in there. But, I mean, the last couple Silver Dollars, when they're running that 80-lap feature on Saturday, that track has really held up well.
Yeah, and that's something that as I'm continuing to work out I-80 and kind of listening as Joe and Steve are having their conversations, or Steve's over the radio talking about one of the Packers about exactly where to drive that truck, I am just absolutely amazed at the most insignificant of detail can be so catastrophic by the end of the night. Mm-hmm. It really does blow me away that I don't pay attention to this stuff a lot, but Steve pays attention to sundown times, cloud conditions, wind direction and speed, and half-hour breakdowns of when the wind's going to die off. So he's got to know when to continue. I mean, it's just insane to know what these, not only Steve, but these track prep guys have to go through.
Oh, it's a skill.
And another one I got to give a lot of credit to is Justin Reitz over at Crawford County Speedway. He does a fantastic job with that track. The June Jamboree, boy, that was a heck of a race. I had the most fun I think I've had probably in at least a year calling a race with Stan Caesar, because first off, Stan's just, I mean, an absolute professional when it comes to doing this racing. But the feature events that night were just absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to my friend Jason Cole, who got the win over Luke Ramsey and Jeremy Purdy in the hobby stock feature for the June Jamboree. I got to send that out there because I like Jason. He's had a really tough year, and he finally got himself a win in a hard-fought battle. The common theme I saw all night long was there was probably 5 or 6 continuous laps of not 2 guys battling for the lead, but 3 guys and sometimes 4 guys battling for the lead. Often, once that battle settled down, and the leader was able to start making their line and start to put like 2 car lengths, then they would kind of start to check out and begin to win that race. But man, it's just absolutely fantastic racing. And the race of the night, I'm kicking myself because I didn't record this race, and I felt like I should have, but I don't know, I just got lazy and I didn't record it, and now I've learned my lesson. But the A-Mod A feature had Jesse Dennis, Dylan Smith, Jordan Grabowski, Justin Zeitner, Shane DeMay, all finishing in the top 5. Josh Most, Jeremy Lighting was there, Clint Holman was there, Justin Gregg. Absolutely some of the best A-Mod drivers in this area came out on the Sunday night to win that race. And a battle between Jesse Dennis, Dylan Smith, and Jordan Grabowski was the cleanest, best racing I've seen, and they absolutely went at it hard, but they never touched each other. They never pushed on each other, never leaned on each other. And Jesse Dennis had to have won. I didn't see the actual timer charts, but maybe 0.3 of a second. Maybe it was just he edged Dylan Smith out on the last corner, and just the crowd was on their feet and absolutely nuts.
Well, if he just edged him out, it wasn't anywhere near 0.3 of a second. That's a couple car lengths.
Okay. So
okay. You get into the hundreds or thousands of a second.
It was 3/100
by a bumper or
my
a
bad.
front fender.
He I believe Smith was right on his numbers.
So half a car.
Yeah. He was about half car length, so it was a great race, and hats off to Jesse Dennis, because he's not a well-funded organization like Jordan Grabowski and Dylan Smith. He's out there running with a used chassis and just dominating. He's got that track figured out. Absolutely gorgeous and a beautiful race. For the Silver Dollar Nationals, July 16th, 17th, and 18th at I-80 Speedway. Make sure you get your tickets in advance. I've been sitting in the last couple of days, actually all last week. I was there pretty much every day with Lee, and he's getting phone call after phone call about reserving your seats. So go online and get them in advance. I-80speedway.com. Click on the schedule. The drop-down box, go to the special events, and you'll see the Silver Dollar Nationals there. Pick up your tickets in advance. You're not going to want to miss this race. Thursday is the Nebraska 360 Sprint Cars will be there on Thursday, as well as B-Mods, and I'm sorry, the SLMR Series is going to be there on Thursday night. And then after those three races are over with, those three features, the MLRA and the Lucas Oil Late Models and the USMTS Modified KC Cup Series will take the track for the prelude to the Silver Dollar Nationals. It'll be a practice night. And then on Friday and Saturday, USMTS KC Cup and the MLRA Lucas Oil Late Models will take the track at 8 o'clock for the grand feature. $185,000 total purse is on the line for those 3 days between all those series. So big purse, big days, a lot of action. You get your tickets online, I-80speedway.com. Should we take a break and wrap it all up at turn number 4?
You're the boss.
All right, let's do it. I don't know about that. You can tell me what to do.
Okay, Man Crush Man.
We'll be back.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
All right, just a few minutes left here in turn number 4 on the front stretch. We appreciate you sticking with us this morning. Turn number 4 brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. All the action for tonight's Coke Zero 400 is on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube. You can catch the broadcast starting at 5:45 on NBC and MRN with the green flag waving at just about 6:45 p.m. So it's going to be a night race, but it's not going to be too late. So we'll see how that goes. The Coca-Cola 600, the Coke Zero 400. Mark your calendars now. It's on NBC. Next weekend's race and the following next several races are going to be on NBCSN. So make sure you check your local cable provider and make sure you have that. Again, the Coke Zero 400 on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. If you don't happen to want to sit at home and watch it, you can enjoy a slamwich and a lube tube of your favorite beers.
Or otherwise, we can all get together over at Dan's house.
Yep, we could do that. I was just making sure I was going to be home tonight. I'm going to be home. Of course I'm going to be home tonight. What am I talking about? All right, fantasy tips from Chad for the Coke Zero 400. Chad talks about Daytona was repaved following the 2010 season, and the track has been fast ever since. The team to beat at Daytona easily, hands down, has been Hendrick, who have won the last three of the 5 races at this super speedway. Drivers to keep your eye on, he talks about the 5 picks: Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. His sleeper of the week, as long as he can keep his axle mounted together, which shouldn't be a problem at Daytona, would be Casey Mears. Casey has had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes at Daytona and finished 4th at the 500 earlier this year.
It's because he stays out of trouble.
That comes to my next point. While Dale, Jimmy, Kevin, Denny, and Kyle are all statistically good cars to take, as far as the Pick'ems contest is concerned, and the fact that people are running out of picks now, you got to make sure when you're checking your spreadsheets, if you see a car number that you picked earlier in the season and it's got a red box around it or it's filled in with red, that means you've taken him twice in the regular season. You can't take him again. I tend to stay away from the chase drivers for the super speedways because they're just as likely to get wrecked out, and you're going to take a Jimmy Johnson who would, on most tracks, get you a 35 to 40 points. He's going to get you maybe 2 if he wrecks out early in the race. So I like to save the chase drivers, the drivers that are more likely going to make the chase. I like to save them for more sure tracks that they're going to be able to survive the entire tracks.
Yeah, well, I don't think there is a sure track because last year I took Jimmy Johnson at Martinsville and was out in 15 laps. So.
Well, I think Kevin Harvick would disagree with you at Phoenix. He's the reason why we've got so many one race winners is because I think, what was the number? Like 12 of the 30 Pick'ems contestants took Kevin Harvick at Phoenix and all won. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad pick. I'm not talking bad about anybody, but I'm just saying that Kevin's kind of money at Phoenix. But to your point, anybody could wreck. Anything could happen. Lug nut could fall off. Tire could fall. I mean, there's just so many things that can happen in these races. Oh, take a breath, Dan. All right, the Coke Zero 400. Let's talk about Daytona a little bit from the official standpoint. Dirk, you spent quite a bit of time down at the mecca of asphalt racing and super speedway. Talk about Daytona a little bit for our listeners.
You don't have to lose a lap if you have to take a green flag pit stop for some reason, or if you have to do a pass-through or something. But I think everybody's probably noticed that the pit road speeding penalties the last several weeks have really tapered off.
Mm-hmm.
They've really slowed down. Guys are really starting to pay attention to it. They're paying attention to, coming through the pit boxes early or driving through the pit boxes, getting out. They're taking care of all that. It's a track where you still have the trouble getting on pit road. You see a lot of wrecks happen there because guys don't get signaled. They're slowing down, and the other guy's still doing his $1.95. If you're not paying attention,
Yeah, because they do kind of tend to wave out the window that hey, they're coming and they'll move to the inside. But that can be difficult with the pack racing. That if you've got to plan 5 or 6 laps ahead of time that you want to come to pit road because you got to get to the inside.
Yep, you got to get that inside line. It's really tough to pit from the outside line, and of course you're trying to get to be able to pit with a teammate. So you got somebody when you come off pit road to draft with and catch back up with the pack. So that's always something, especially that the multi-car teams have an advantage with.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got a lot of your buddies, your buddy deals. If Tony comes in by himself and Junior comes in with himself, they're going to hook up and go run together.
Yep.
They're just friends.
That's an aspect of this kind of the super speedway racing that I do enjoy is the kind of the buddy system. It's not the tandem racing because NASCAR is trying to regulate that out of it for the Sprint Cup, but you do need a drafting partner and somebody that you can race with for a couple of laps to get until the things kind of shake out. And sometimes these teams that have 3 cars get left out, or some of them that have 4 teams, but one of them wrecks, then there's an odd man left out.
Yeah, there's no special rules package other than their regular rule package for the super speedways. What they ran there at Kentucky, with the short spoiler and everything. I haven't heard yet or seen if you're going to see that, coming back here at a few of these tracks. But super speedways have their own rules package. I mean, they even give them the shock absorbers they run down their springs and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's
Hey, speaking of that, did you see in the news that that NASCAR had talked about, kind of hinted that there may be more solo packages at these different tracks? Instead of running one package at all these different tracks like we're doing with Kentucky in a couple of weeks, that they may actually start releasing individual track packages? I
think that would be a total disaster.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, originally when they set up with the car tomorrow back in, I think, 2006 or so was when that car debuted. And that car was set up to they could build a stable and have 3 cars. They could run them at the short tracks, the intermediates, the super speedways and everything. Now they're back to where they've got individual cars for 1.5 miles.
Yeah, but nobody was doing that, though.
They did when they started for about the first quarter of a season.
Well, couldn't that be because they didn't have enough cars ready to go? You're talking about the CO2, the Generation 5 car, right?
Correct.
Didn't they have an issue with getting the rules package approved and there was a shortage of cars?
Well, no, I don't think there was a shortage of cars. They were just trying to take it to heart what NASCAR was trying to do. NASCAR was trying to save these teams some money.
Yeah.
But they, like I said, because I was still working with them then, is they could have had the car that they'd been running and tweaking and bending every which way to have a car for each individual track. They could have come up with that big cage like they've got now for a template and, put that on those cars and made the cars conform to that. They wouldn't have had to build a different car for each track like they were doing. But it's so much more than just the body. I mean, they've got specific locations for shock absorbers, for A-frames. Ride heights on the frame rails are different. The snouts are different. Now they can't do quite that much stuff.
But if you're worried if they start allowing this individual track packages that they will have to start doing that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going to have, they race twice at a lot of tracks, so that'll cut it down. So they aren't going to need 36 cars with backups, but they're going to need 20.
Yeah, and that's what we figure these cars. I figure these cars, the Sprint Cup cars, cost about $250,000 each. That's just to build the car.
That's probably roughly it. That's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
If they build an individual camshaft for each track, the camshafts run $100,000 because of the way they're built. It's not a roller camshaft, but it starts with a roller blank, and they grind the lobes off of it and then weld them back up and then run flat tappet cam. And see, that's another thing with what they're doing. They could go to a roller camshaft and save a ton of money and have a ton of restriction on how much, lift and duration and everything's on the camshaft.
There's a lot that goes into this.
No.
You just can't go out and race anymore, can you?
Flip a coin, say take the car in the back, and let's go racing.
Oh, we have run out of time once again. Make sure your picks are in by the time the green flag waves tonight for the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona. Don't forget that if you want to enjoy a frosty beverage while you watch the race and have some good eats, you could do it at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. The green flag action for the Coke Zero 400 will be displayed on the big screens in the Brickyard at Quaker Steak and Lube. Let's see. Coverage starts at 5:45 with the racing action starting at about 6:45. Thank you, Dirk, as always, for being a great co-host.
You are more than welcome, Mr. Man Crush.
We will do it live next weekend as we will talk with, we'll try to talk with Rodney Sanders. We'll try to have your tickets to the road to Knoxville, and we will recap the action from Kentucky and Daytona. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100 plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.